Hello and welcome everyone to our speaker coffee chats for our 17th annual Canadian Holistic Conference. We are so excited this year. Our topic is holistic nutrition, exploring the spectrum of wellness. We have two dates this year. We're in Calgary, Saturday, April 12th, and Toronto, May 10th. I'm Joanna Brown, your social media manager for the Alumni Association, which proudly presents this conference. And we are very excited to have one of our Calgary speakers joining us today. Thank you, Carmen from Urban Farms, for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's really wonderful to be here with you today.
yeah. Now, your topic, the future of food. Can you tell us a little bit about why you're passionate about this topic?
Yes, I think a lot of that comes from my upbringing. Having a mother who canned and preserved absolutely everything she could get her hands on. We always had gardens. And also we lived overseas for quite a while. And so we saw that the relationship between individuals, the community, and food was very tightly knit. And so there were no such things as grocery stores there. So, you always were looking for food that was really nurturing because, after all, we're in a foreign country. We're trying to, in a way, recreate what we knew at home here in Canada, but quickly realized that it made much more sense for us to eat what the locals were eating. And so, that aspect, plus my background was in sustainable land management. I worked for the government of Alberta for many years in energy and natural resources, and basically looking at all the ecosystem health and dynamics and what makes real ecosystems thrive so that every element of that ecosystem plays an integral part in the health of that ecosystem, but it also supports the whole. And so in my work with Urban Farm School, I've been able to bring a very strong whole systems approach to all of my workshops that I teach. And in addition, I'm an international permaculture instructor, so which is by nature a whole systems approach. And so when we look at food, I realize that we have through the evolution of our culture, let's say, from the more agrarian culture to the more modern culture, that we've lost that connection with food. And so I think that when we think about what the future holds for us, around what's coming down the pipeline, we may have very different ideas about, maybe is technology the answer? Is how do we feed all the people in the world? What's the quality of the food? Do we know what we might be sacrificing by going forward? So my presentation, I'm going to be bringing us back to the basics and having a look at various methodologies around growing food, how those affect nutrient transfer to the plants. It's not really going to be a science lesson, but we're going to geek out just a little bit. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
Fantastic. Now, about your presentation, what are some kind of key takeaways that we can expect from the
Mm.
presentation?
I think the big key takeaway is going to be, again, that understanding of how nutrient density in food actually occurs,
Mm.
and that the focus is not on necessarily eating X amount of vegetables per day for optimum health. It's going to be absolutely that quality of food, and it's going to be about the biological entities in the soil and their incredibly important role in nutrient transfer. So, in other words, if we don't take care of the soil microbes, right? If we're farming vegetables, but we're not farming microbes, we've missed the boat. And so so basically my presentation is going to ask us to get back down to looking at the basics, and then we can make really mindful decisions about our food choices in ways and the way that we choose our, who grows our food and in what way is that food being grown. So that's going to be the key takeaway is giving people, opening up their eyes with a little bit of understanding and knowledge around how nutrient transfer actually happens. It's incredibly simple, but it's actually fairly new soil science. So we're going to talk about that in depth.
Very cool. So it sounds like in your presentation, you'll be providing insights into why local and good quality food really matters to the health of us and our
It,
microbiome, it sounds like as well, right?
it really matters. And like I say, if you can eat, 100 grams of nutrient dense food versus 600 grams of nutrient deficient food,
Mm.
got whole different dynamic in the body that's going on. And it's not just about the nutrient density of the food, but what is the microbiological component. So yeah, it's going to be a fun exploration.
Very exciting. And what a fantastic different approach this year. We usually always talk about what nutrients we need to consume and why we should consume them. So it's what are we consuming and where is it coming from and why it matters, it sounds like.
Exactly. And we'll also explore a bit about that local piece and why why intuitively, if we're paying attention, our bodies will actually crave the things that grow the closest to us.
Oh.
And so that local piece has a lot to do with familiar biology. In other words, a familiarity of the biological entities that are a part of the food, because we live in a microbial universe.
Hmm.
There's nothing that we can do that doesn't involve microbes. So it's about sort of tapping into that elemental aspect of what is food, what is it meant to do for us, how does eating, food that's grown locally enrich our
Hmm.
health much more so than food that is imported from a long distance. And I mean, given today's situation with, potential tariffs and so on, people are going to be starting to think a lot more
Hmm.
about where their food comes from and what actually represents a resilient choice for them. So, in other words, food sovereignty, around, issues around food sovereignty. Canada needs its food sovereignty back. It used to have it, doesn't anymore. So, how do we nurture that and support that? Not for the political aspect, but for the personal health aspect. So,
Mhm. So exciting. I'm
it's
so
going to be
excited.
exciting.
I'm so
Yeah,
excited. Now,
fun.
we always love to ask our speakers to tell us one fun fact or maybe a hidden talent about yourself, maybe others don't know.
Okay, well, I've been a musician all of my life. I used to actually tour. I used to play in folk clubs a lot, back way back in the day, in
Yeah.
the late 70s, early 80s, and that sort of thing. But so music is a very big part of my life. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I do a lot of work around that still with friends, not for money anymore, but just for fun.
Yeah.
So that's one interesting fact.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you so much for sharing and sharing your story with us. We cannot wait to see your presentation.
Oh, so
Now,
good.
if you do not have your conference tickets yet, you can find them at csnalumni.org under the conference tab. Whether you attend Calgary or Toronto, your ticket speaker will include recordings from both cities. So if you are in Toronto and you are just so excited to see Carmen's talk, don't worry, you can catch it on that recording. The conference is open to all wellness practitioners, students, and the public. So get your tickets. The early bird tickets are still available this week. Again, thank you so much, Carmen, for taking the time out to talk with us today. I cannot wait. I will be in Calgary, so I cannot wait to see your talk in Calgary.
Thank you so much. It's going to be a blast.